But I think it's also like when you try to make small adjustments of how you are or what you do, people can be like, why? It was so great before. Like, do you need to change that? And that can always make me a little bit, not sad, but maybe like, I'm trying to make a progress in my life doing these things. Why don't you just cheer me on?
That is a great question. Why don't people just cheer you on and support you? I have a guess about that. It's because they see you changing something and doing something with your life that lights you up and that may change you in some way, right? Whether it's, and they may get left behind. So I think that there's a little bit of that where they want you to stay where you are because they may see like, oh, wow, she's doing that really cool thing. What if she doesn't want to be friends with me anymore? Welcome to The Air is Free, the podcast that helps you stop gripping what you can't control and start embracing what you can. Join Frida Karsberg and me, Sue Willoughby, as we dive into real conversations about resilience, personal freedom, and finding your center in a chaotic world. Inspired by the Swedish expression, Luften är fri, which means the air is free, this show is about letting go, trusting the process, and remembering that some things in life were meant to be free and limitless. So take a deep breath, let go of what's weighing you down, and let's get into it. Hello, and okay, we definitely have a case of the giggles today, so just stick with us. Welcome to another episode of The Air is Free, otherwise known as Luften är fri. So here we are today. I'm here with Frida. We had some technical difficulties to kick things off, so that's why we're a little punchy and a little goofy. Anyway, today we're going to talk about hiding in plain sight and what that actually means. And do you want me to kick that off, Frida?
Go ahead, Sue. Kick it off.
Because, I'm always blabbing my face off anyway. So
No.
to me, hiding in plain sight is about not being able to show up as you really are. So whatever that is, like today I'm silly and I'm showing up silly, and that y'all got to just get over it. If I were crying, I probably would not show up crying. I would probably have some sort of facade. And I think most of us, all of us, probably, I think, Frida, I don't know if you want to agree with me or not, but we all go through life putting up some sort of a facade to how we want others to see us, right? And how we think we're going to present ourselves to others, whether it's at work. We might have a bunch of different facades or masks, one for work, one for your friends, one for whatever. But is anyone really seeing the true you? What do you think about that, Frida?
I mean, I think so many things when you say this, Sue. First of all, I'm one of those people that put up a facade, because in our today's society, we have to think about who we are and how we present ourselves. And also, like, we can't just go, crazy and do whatever we feel like doing, right? Because then
Why
people are
not?
like, I mean, yeah, well, I guess we can, but, um, you know, um, I think it's like a lifelong lesson to learn how to or when to put that, facade down or like show your real self. I work with a lot of clients who are in, like maybe 40, 50 years old. And it feels like that's a big subject in that kind of like age period in life because it's like you know who you are and maybe start to get like feel comfortable in your personality or identity, but then like, okay, so now what? How can I show it to the world when I'm actually like okay with who I am? So it's an interesting topic to talk about, in my opinion. Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, you said a word that I'd like to pick out of that, is identity.
Mm.
I think that, people, women especially of a certain age, you get to a certain point, like you said, and your identity might be wrapped up in maybe it's your job or it's your family or whatever it is, where you've been playing this role for so long that you don't know how to get out of it. Am I is that what you're talking about? Well,
I
yeah.
mean, no, but It's so funny because I was thinking like that's what I'm gonna say, and I said it all reversed. I said it totally different. Sorry. Okay.
Well, I'm here to keep you honest.
Okay. No, but okay. So I guess there's two ways to this. It's
Okay.
like the humans or women. I have mostly female clients, but people who have done a lot of work on themselves, and have kind of figured out, okay, this is me. But the next step is like, okay, how do I show it to the world? Then, of course, there's so many people that are just like you described, like, I've been doing this job for, such and such years. I've been a mother. Whatever, you found your identity. But then all of a sudden, the kids are getting older. Maybe you stop working, all those shifts in life. And then you have to like rediscover who you are, which is also like super exciting, but super scary at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So we were talking about the same thing, but from two different angles, and that's
Yeah.
fine. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? To
Yeah.
talk about because it does present itself in different ways. I think that, showing up authentically, I feel like that word's overused, but I'm still going to use it,
Mm.
is difficult when, like you said, when you get to a certain, even if you've been doing the work and then it's just like, but to break out and be, you know, present yourself to your friends or to your work colleagues or to like, this is the new me. And they're like, well, what was wrong with the old you? Right. So
Yeah.
they want you to crawl back into your shell. But I do think that fear of being judged is a huge, huge thing around, making changes about how we want to present ourselves.
Yeah, and it can also be like now we're talking about like big life decisions, maybe like quitting a job or changing the way you're living and all that stuff. But I think it's also like when you try to make small adjustments of how you are or what you do, people can be like, "Why? It was so great before. Like, do you need to change that?" And that can always make me a little bit not sad, but maybe like, I'm trying to make a progress in my life doing these things. Why don't you just cheer me on?
That was a good that is a great question. Why don't people just cheer you on and support you?
Mm,
I have a guess about that. Is because they see you changing something and doing something with your life that lights you up and that may change you in some way, right? Whether it's, and they may get left behind. So I think that there's a little bit of that
mm.
where they want you to stay where you are because they may see like, oh, wow, she's doing that really cool thing. What if she doesn't want to be friends with me anymore? Right? I don't know. Maybe.
That could be it, for sure, for sure. And also, it's scary with like new territory and see someone you love or that you're close changing, and like maybe you won't be in the picture, or maybe that person thinks you're boring because you don't change. I guess there's so many questions around that. But hey, Sue, I'm very curious because I know you've done a lot of stuff in your life, different
Uh-huh.
stuff and changes and stuff. Do you want to share something that you did that maybe didn't, or you can pick whatever if you want to do a success story or something that maybe didn't work out as planned when you did a shift or tried something new?
Oh, how long is the show today?
Only pick one.
Oh, geez. Well, I don't know that it's something didn't work out because I'm always trying new things, just like you said. And I, I think people maybe have judged me for that. In other words, so the overarching theme of trying new things a lot. I do it because I'm curious. I do it because I like to learn. I do it because it's exciting for me and it's fulfilling. But I some people have not seen it that way, and they're like, "Oh, there she goes, trying something new again," or "Oh, what thing are you trying now, and what are you doing? Why are you doing that?" So, I don't know that I can think of anything specific, but the idea that I do try new things a lot, and they're like, "Can't you just stick with one thing?" But you know what? Here's the deal, and I tell clients this all the time. just because you want to pursue something new and something different doesn't mean that you have to do it for the rest of your life. If you try something on and it doesn't fit, do you buy it anyways? Or do you put it back in the rack and go, I don't think, yeah, I thought it was going to look cuter than it did, but it doesn't. So I'm not going to take it home. I don't know that I directly answered your question, but I can't think of one thing in particular, other than the fact that just the idea of trying new things has brought up some conflict in my life.
Okay. Yeah, that's okay. I
What
guess
about
you're
you?
so adventurous, so you have so many things. Hard to pick. Um, I mean,
Because you've made a lot of changes and you've tried a lot of new things. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
coaching.
And
Oh,
I do that, yeah, and I do it all the time, but I guess also, but maybe I don't jump out of a plane or, do like super
oh, that.
big, yeah, big changes. But I think like moving to the United States was a big step, even though, at the time we said let's stay 2 years, and here we are 11 years later. I think that was a big step to take, and people were, I guess people were excited, but they were also like, what are you going to do there? You know? So, but it went well. So far, so good. So that was a big shift that I decided to make in my life. Yeah. But I think we should talk a little bit about how the horses, how can we use our equus coaching when you have, say, a client come to you and she's struggling with identity, or deciding, she want to make that shift. Almost like, because we usually know what it is, right, that we have to do, but how can we help her take that first little step towards the shift?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the horses are very good at helping people get out of their comfort zone and take that first step. So the way the horses can and do help is by removing the piece of judgment, because horses don't judge you. They don't care what you look like. They don't care how you act. They don't care if you're sad or happy or afraid or anything else. They don't. What they do look for is incongruency, meaning, are you putting up a front? Are you wearing a mask? Do you have are you guarded in any way? Because they can see through that. And if they are sensing that your insides are not matching your outsides, then they have certain behaviors because they're prey animals, and they want to know that they're going to feel safe with you, because when you're in their energy bubble, when you're in their sphere, then you are part of their herd, and they treat you like a herd member, and they want to know, hey, is this herd member going to be safe? So that was kind of a long thing. I just had to give a little background about how horses will
Hmm.
interact with us.
Yeah, great.
But they don't judge you. They're not going to judge you. They just want to know, can they feel safe in this space with you? So that can really help someone get back in their body, get back in themselves, be grounded, and show up as they really are. How they're really coming to this relationship with the horse.
Yeah.
What about you?
No, but I mean, it's interesting to watch, especially when clients come in with the horse for the first time and they don't really know what to expect, and we start working, and the horse just walks away or stays still and like turn around and like don't really want to connect. And the client is trying and trying and trying, like, super hard, like doing all this, and I'm like, are you okay? Is there something that's coming up? No, I'm fine. I know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, keep on going, do whatever. But then eventually I have to ask the question, how are you feeling on the inside? And usually, frustration, anger, whatever is like brewing in there has to come out. And as soon as the clients start talking about how they're feeling on the inside, the horse will relax, maybe even come closer and engage. But they have to feel safe, and you have to be truthful about who you are so they can feel safe. And I just love that.
Yeah, it's like instant feedback.
Yep.
right? So, what is a way that, so if somebody's in the arena and the horse is giving them feedback and
Hmm.
staying away from them because they don't feel like the person's being congruent, um, and then you get them talking about what's really going on with them, and then the horse starts to approach them and feel like, okay, I can deal with this person. They're being honest with themselves. What happens then when the person goes back out into the real world? What kind of tips or what kind of strategies can you give them to take what they just learned in the arena with the horse out and put it into practice in the real world?
Yeah, so here's when I usually start talking about energies and the energies that we're sending out, right? Because it's such an obvious example of energy and how we, how people see us in real life, what the horse just did. Just because they can sense, way faster or stronger than humans, it doesn't mean that humans doesn't, feel a little bit the same. When you come into a room and you can kind of like feel like who is my pal here and who is not. That is kind of like, I'm trying to put it in real life. So people understand. And I'm also always asking my clients to try to remember the visceral feeling or the feeling they had inside of their body when the shift happened and the horse came towards them, because that is kind of like the key here, and like that release that you need to do over and over again to start making shifts in your everyday life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bringing it back into their bodies, right? And
Mm-hmm.
trying to identify and build awareness around what is, because a lot of times when I ask a client, what are you feeling? They'll say a word. I'm
Yeah.
feeling mad. Well, what does mad look like to you? And what does it feel like to you? When you say that you're mad, what does it do in your body? You know?
Right. Yeah.
Then they have to think about that. Take a
Mm-hmm.
couple of deep breaths and go into your body and say, "Oh, well, my heart is beating pretty fast and I feel like tightness in my chest," or whatever it is. Those are the types of things that you can say, "Okay, now when you go back out into the world and you get that mad feeling or you get the whatever feeling it was, right? Recall that. Go into your body. Don't go into your head. Go into your body and say, what am I feeling?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you said, I love the example that you used about walking into a room, especially walking into a room where you don't know anyone and you're trying to assess, like, who can I buddy up with, right? Or who's giving me the stink eye, or who.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
God,
that's
it's my
the whole.
worst when I have to do that. I'm like, oh, and I always like feel awkward with my clothes and my bag, and like I have to hold something in my hand. I'm like, oh.
I have a booger in my nose, I got spinach in my teeth. What am I like? Why is everybody staring at me?
Yeah.
Do I have
Right.
toilet paper on my shoe? Well, because of that, it's that fear of being judged.
Yep.
What? Because if you're already in the room and somebody new walks in the room,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do? Do you judge them?
No, I would never.
Be honest. Be honest. A little bit.
I mean, when someone walk in the room that I don't know, there, of course, there's like a quick scan of like, I wonder who this person is, and then you put a story in your head because the way people
Yeah.
act or look and blah blah blah. But yeah, okay, I guess I judge a little bit, but I don't judge. I just fast judge, and then I'm open.
It's okay. It's a human thing
I
to do,
know,
right?
I know.
Which is the beauty of horses, because they don't look at you and go, "Oh, girl, what kind of jacket are you wearing? That shit looks bad on you. Take that mess off and don't come near me."
Hmm.
Right? They don't care. Horses are like, "Whatever, get a carrot."
Yeah,
Um,
that's like me too. No,
that's so
no, but
funny.
why I'm saying, well, of course we all judge. It's hard to not judge. But I think it's so important to, after you've judged a little bit, that you open up and listen or see and, talk to the person in question.
So
Then you
let's
can,
just talk about. Oh, sorry,
yeah.
I didn't
No,
mean.
go ahead. Go ahead. That was just silly. Go ahead.
No, no. So let's just talk about another thing, because we'll bring the horses into it. They're already into it.
Yep.
The other thing I think is that when people, like, if you come into a room and, maybe people like turn around and look at you or whatever, you want to get small, right? You're afraid to actually take up space
Mm-hmm.
in, wherever you are, because if you take up space, you ever see somebody walk into a room and they're just like, their head's held high, they're super confident, and you're like, whoa, I want to know that person, or, I want to borrow some of their confidence or whatever, where they're just, it's not just their physical being, but their aura is big. Their space is big, and not in a way like they come in, you know, cocky or anything like that, but you can just tell that they feel good in their skin and they're okay to come in bigger than most people.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, okay, why can that person do that and I can't, right? It's like horses. They're not afraid to take up space, right? Have you ever been in the arena with a horse and they're just like, oh my God, I just want to drop down to the ground and I'm going to roll around on my back and then I'm going to take a poop. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm just here, I'm me, and that's it. They don't care that way. Have you ever seen a horse get small and hide?
No,
Yeah.
not really. But yeah, I know. And when I see that happen, when the horses are just like, this is me, I'm doing my thing, I'm like, huh. It's such a release to see it because, who doesn't want to be like that? Just like roll around
Right.
and do my own thing. I love that.
But yeah, so it's a fear of being seen and
Yeah.
taking space, I
Hmm.
think is the part of it, right? Being judged, don't want to take up too much space, don't want to, and it's difficult to get to a point where you can be you unapologetically, I think.
Yeah. But as we always say, why don't we start with turtle steps or small steps or tiny
Yes.
steps or whatever?
I was just gonna say that.
Oh,
You
really? I read my
stole
your
my
mind
thunder.
today. I'm on that vibe today.
So how about this?
Hmm.
What is the turtle step that we can ask people to take this week if they're having trouble getting out of out of themselves?
Well, I guess maybe pick uh, a time this week where you have to do something that is a little bit uncomfortable socially, I guess, and decide to be. You don't have to be that big, that huge person that walks in the room, but maybe do a different thing or like shift something with the way you're feeling about yourself before you enter the room, or just to see what happens. Be
Yeah, I love.
curious. Yeah, be curious.
Yeah, yes, and and if you don't have any social things coming up, think of something that makes you feel a little uncomfortable and see if you can do it, right? Whatever that is. Like in your example, yeah, like maybe you have a meeting or whatever. You enter the room and instead of taking, into the conference room if you're at work, instead of taking a seat in the back row, which I always used to do, uh, sit at the table with it, sit at the big girl table,
Mm.
put your papers down and just sit there and be okay and take up space. If you go to the, like a performance or something, whatever it is, don't hide in the back row. Sit up closer, be noticed, right?
That's great. Yeah, I love that. And also share your thoughts if you're like in a conversation or at a meeting and there's something, sometimes I'm always like this, like something pops up in my head. I'm like, oh no, I can't say it's too silly or people won't understand, blah, blah, blah. Just say
Yeah.
it and see what happens. It's not the end of the world.
That is another great way that people are small,
Hmm.
where they don't say what's really on their mind. They're afraid to speak their mind or whatever for whatever reason. And so I think that's a great opportunity to exercise your, you know, being big and being yourself and being authentic.
Hmm.
Anything else, Frida, while we wrap up today?
No, I think like I need to practice this more. So I'm gonna
Right?
do it too this week for sure. I'm not gonna hide. Watch out.
Okay.
Yeah.
You step out, be yourself.
Yeah.
All
What
right.
about
What are you
you?
gonna
What about you,
well,
Sue?
I'll try and not jump out of an airplane, but I'm gonna do something I've been sort of putting off. You know, not I'm not afraid of social media. I've just kind of not been in the mood. So I'm gonna try and get back out there and make a post that is, you know, something that I really want to say. and not be afraid of it, whatever it is. I don't know yet, but
That's exciting. Can't wait to read it or see
yeah,
it.
right.
Yeah.
Whatever, we'll see.
Yeah.
But just do something that I may have been thinking, but not actually saying, and not being public about it. So
Oh,
there you go.
nice.
Yeah,
That's very brave.
I'll try. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. Well, hey, that's it for today. Embrace your true self, or at least try and figure out what your true self is, and then figure out how you can show it to the world. And the world does not have to be everybody on this planet. It can just be a few people. So whatever it is that you're hiding from or hiding inside of, step out, be yourself, and just do little steps at a time.
Yeah.
What else, Frida? That
No,
it?
I mean, like you always say it so nicely. So I'm just going to say yes to that.
Ditto. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if this episode has been helpful to you, thank you so much for joining us. Share it with a friend, subscribe, rate the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. And if there's topics that you'd like us to discuss, please tell us. Also, if you'd like to be coached live on the show, you can also do that. So DM us, reach out if you want to be coached, or you can comment the word coach and we will get you on the show.
Yes.
All right. That's it for today. Just remember, the air is free and so are you. Enjoy your life. Thank you.
Bye.
That's it for today's episode of The Air is Free. I hope this conversation gave you something to think about, something to let go of, and maybe even a little more space to breathe. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, rate and review the podcast, because it helps more people find us and join in the conversation. And if something resonated with you, share it on social media and be sure to tag us. We'd love to hear your thoughts. You can follow us on Instagram, hit us up on our websites. Just come, say hi, send us a message, or let us know what topics you'd love to hear more about. Until next time, take a deep breath, let go of what you can't control, and remember, Luften er free.